Planet Dolan.
From propaganda to a conspiracy about the moon landing, we count 10 conspiracy theories that were actually true. Number 10. Operation Paperclip. We all know the Nazis were awful people, especially when you take into account their inhumane science experiments, but that doesn't take away from the fact that under the Nazi malice was an intelligence that could and did change the world. After World War II was over, America decided that instead of putting Nazi scientists into prison, we'd hire them to build rockets for us. Over 100 rocket scientists from Nazi Germany were put to work under the American government, and it's mostly thanks to them that we have the Saturn V rocket, the one that put man on the moon. That's a tough call to make. They're responsible for tons of deaths, but their science is good and it could be put to good use, so what do? Kill them or use them? But that does explain why Saturn V and Columbia have the same color schemes as a Nazi flag. Oh, and hey, YouTube does too, that's weird. Number 9. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident. On the 2nd of August 1964, during the middle of the Vietnam War, an American destroyer claimed they were attacked during a recon mission. The resulting fireworks damaged a U.S. carrier. There was another report of a naval battle 2 days later with no damages or injuries. However, later down the line, it was confirmed by U.S. officials that the second battle never happened, and there have been convincing reports from whistleblowers and allusions by the president that neither incident had actually occurred. Why would they fake these attacks? Well, it gave the military and the president a reason to respond with deadly force in the way of airstrikes. Even if it was just one attack that was faked, it's still a grimy thing to do, like a soccer player faking an injury. Except instead of giving your opponent a yellow card, you give him a napalm strike. Number 8. North Korea abductions. Between 1977 and 1983, Japanese citizens were disappearing. The public was in disarray and began pointing fingers at North Korea. Eventually, Japan admitted to the public that 8 men and 9 women were taken by North Korea, and they themselves admitted that they took 13. However, the estimated numbers are actually much higher than 17 people, especially when you take into account other nations. In particular, South Korea, with current estimates hovering around 480 kidnapped victims. But that's not all. There's a few districts in Japan that fund schools ran by North Korea. And of course, they teach all the children studying there that the abductions are all fabrications by the evil Japanese government and media. And those death camps aren't death camps, they're just there because people are just so happy they need a little bit of torment just to get through the day. If they're any happier, they just explode. Number 7. COINTELPRO. Most conspiracy theories about America involve the CIA, but in this case it was actually the FBI who subverted the law. In particular, they violated the American right of free speech in the name of national security. I think they got that term backwards. You protect the nation for the people, not from the people. Basically, the FBI surveyed, infiltrated, and discredited several political movements, including the Black Civil Rights Movement led by Martin Luther King Jr., feminist organizations, as well as socialist parties that were rising up during the 50s and 60s. They mostly did this by getting undercover agents in these circles, while also running false news stories and in some cases flat out arresting them under fabricated pretenses. You're under arrest for saying stuff I don't like. Number 6. The Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment. There was a clinical study done by the U.S. Public Health Service that focused on the study of progression of untreated syphilis in patients. It took place in Alabama and lasted from the 30s to the 70s. The PHS took in African American men, the majority of which previously had the disease, and infected them with syphilis. In return, the government promised them free health care. However, none of the men were told that they had syphilis, and the government refused to give them penicillin even after it had been proven to cure the disease. They were instead told that they were being treated for bad blood, which honestly sounds racist in and of itself. Number 5. Prohibition poisoning. The prohibition against alcohol is a famous time in American history. It started because many people drank alcohol more than most alcoholics do today, possibly because how much easier it was to get than clean water. In order to combat the illegal selling of alcohol, the government poisoned the industrial-grade alcohol, which didn't work at first thanks to the smuggler's chemist, but eventually they found a potency that was difficult if not impossible to remove. Not only did the prohibition give the mafia a significant boost while also rising all types of crime by a significant amount, but the poisoning also killed around 10,000 people before it was abolished from the law. Back in the old days, mouthwash was basically just minty liquor. So yeah, it's not hard to imagine people getting really smashed back then. Though I gotta give our generation some credit for drinking outside the box. We invented butt chugging. Number 4. Operation Northwoods. This one never went through, but it's still chilling to think that it was even proposed by a respectable member of the military and supported by some parts of the government. During the Cold War, the U.S. Department of Defense was worried about Cuba, but they had no legal reason to go to war with them. So they had the bright idea to orchestrate fake terrorist attacks on American soil to give them permission to open fire. Luckily, the Kennedy administration didn't agree to such a horrific and counterproductive strategy. Thanks for averting nuclear war, JFK. I appreciate it. I like not being irradiated. Number 3. The Naira Testimony. In 1990, a 15-year-old girl called Naira gave a heart-wrenching talk about how she watched Iraqi soldiers wrench babies from their incubators and leave them to die. This testimony was later cited by various U.S. senators as a reason to go to war. Eventually, these senators got what they wanted and the U.S. started the Gulf War. However, it was later revealed to be completely false, and the girl was told to say these things by the Citizens for a Free Kuwait by a PR company that was hired by the Kuwait government. If this piece of propaganda was never released, it's entirely possible that the U.S. would have never gone to war in the Middle East. Well, at least not in the 90s anyways. Number 2. Project MK Ultra. If this story wasn't true, it'd sound like the drug-addled ramblings of a tinfoil hat-wearing homeless man that you do your best to ignore on the train. The CIA actually tried to develop a mind control drug using LSD. They conducted inhumane, unethical experiments all through the USA to those described by the CIA as those who cannot fight back. This included mental patients, prisoners, drug addicts, and prostitutes. One mental patient was kept on LSD for a total of 174 days. The ultimate goal of this was to force Russians to defect from their country, but they also wanted to know if it was possible for the Russians to make their agents defect. In the end, they just got a bunch of hippies high and made a couple of people go nuts. Our tax dollars at work. Thank you, Uncle Sam. Number 1. Prism. For as long as the internet's been around, there have been rumors and conspiracies about how the government was surveying everyone and everything, especially your dick pics. As of recent years, this has been proven to be more true than most people thought. The PRISM program was brought to light by Edward Snowden, a former CIA employee who released thousands of classified NSA documents regarding PRISM. It turns out the American government has been scrawling and keeping petabytes of data from internet users all over the globe. Although the NSA claims it only takes data when they have a warrant, the documents released by Snowden say that's a lie. So yeah, if you're watching this show, you've been spied on more likely than not, so don't go and say things that'll get you on a watch list. Like, you know, how Hellbent told you that the NSA's doing something shady. Or go ahead and do it. Some MK Ultra sounds kind of fun, actually. So what did you think about these conspiracies? Got any conspiracies of your own? Let us know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.
Did you enjoy the video? That's fantastic. Did you know we still have a gaming channel? Collaborative. It's for Planet Dolan. Come look at us as we play some video games.
Like animation? Have some questions about life and the universe you need answered? Come check out Super Planet Dolan. Danger Dolan and I will answer your life questions. Links are down below.